All right, everybody, welcome to another conversation with the Queen. Of course, the Queen is me. I am the Queen. My name is Stella Boem. I am Queen of Glam Tarot and Orlando's Tarot Diva. And you might have noticed that I have another handsome young man with me today.
Oh,
Why do I surround myself with these good-looking, handsome men? I tell you what. But I have with me Anthony Lights. Anthony, introduce yourself to the people.
hello, everybody. I'm Anthony Lights. I am a psychic medium who lives actually just a hop, skip, and a jump over here in St. Pete's. About what, an hour and a half, 2 hours?
Something
Oh,
like that, yeah.
yeah. And yeah, I do my thing over here at a little shop called Spellcrafter here in downtown St. Pete. Yeah, I've been here for like 10 years now. I cannot believe actually, in a couple days will be 10 years that I've lived in Florida.
Oh, nice. Have you lived in St. Pete the entire time?
Yep, always lived in St. Pete. That's why I tell people I don't live in Florida, I live in St. Pete.
But to be fair, it's almost like every single place you go in Florida is its own little world.
It
Like, of
really
course,
is.
of course, we have Orlando. We have all the theme parks, the amusement parks, on top of all the other wonderful things happening in Orlando. Of course, I've been out to St. Pete several times in Tampa and all of that, and St. Pete is just a great place. It's just a cute little place, and you have some wonderful things out there too. Like you've got the Dali Museum, which is wonderful. You have the beautiful area, the beautiful bay. I mean, it is truly a very gorgeous and yet incredibly different vibe.
So different. Even St. Pete to Tampa are two different worlds,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
if you want something older, you can go to St. Augustine. If you want something bigger city, you can go to Miami. It is such a wonderfully diverse state. And
Mhm.
great. And now, as many of you have known with these interviews that I've been doing over the last several weeks, Anthony is also a contributor to my book that just it's coming out soon, the Read Like a Queen: Real Life Insights to Slay Your Tarot Practice. So Anthony is also a contributor to the book itself. We're going to talk about that in just a bit, but Anthony, tell us what brought you into the world of tarot. How did you get started?
So I think the reason why I really wanted to stress I've been here for 10 years is because my tarot journey did not start until after I moved to Florida. The seeds were planted at a very young age when my aunt was reading my tarot cards in
Mhm.
the middle of her living room floor when I was a kid. And then as I kind of grew and started my own psychic development process, I never anticipated reading cards. I just wanted to work on the intuitive insights that I was already getting and trying to understand that. And, I was reading books and doing like work and practices and journaling and stuff. And then we moved to St. Petersburg. And this is, I say we, me and my ex, actually. um, and I decided to continue that journey of development, and randomly I texted my aunt and I said, "Remember when you used to read my cards?" And she got so excited. She actually ended up sending me my very first tarot deck with a journal, some crystals, and a box to keep it all in. It was probably one of the most exciting like packages to ever receive. And I still have the box. My cards are of course, the Rider Waite Smith deck, the original. And yeah, it started there. I put the cards away for months after reading them after like starting my like little journey. I put them away for a long time because I was actually still really scared. I grew up in a very traditional, not I shouldn't say traditional, conservative uh
Mm.
household with family who really believed that if you picked up a deck of tarot cards, you were going to hell. So it took me a while to get very comfortable, but yeah, it just kind of like escalated from there. I spiraled into the world of metaphysics deeper than I ever thought I would, and now I'm a I don't want to say a full-time reader, but basically with working in the shop and then also reading, I'm reading cards and flipping cards every single day. So it's wonderful, and it has a lot to do with my choice in the card that I wanted to write about in your book.
To be honest, I think that is a full-time reader. Like I think that is something that's worth saying because other people that I have interviewed, we have run the gamut from people like me, who this is much more part time because I do have my full time day job. Uh, but then I also have, I've also had people that we talked to that do this full time, that they're moving and grooving and doing parties and doing, so I would say, yeah, that is absolutely part time, at least, 7/8 time.
Mhm.
But my inner music nerd just started kicking me because yeah. And for those of you that are wondering what's in the water here in Florida, well, not just gators. Apparently, a lot of us that came to Florida, that's it seems like something about Florida, we just allow ourselves to kind of just flourish. I think it's the ocean. I think it's the magic for the ocean. I really do.
No, I agree. Actually, it's the water. Especially I'm a Cancer, and so
Hmm.
here in St. Pete, I'm just surrounded by water, and
Yeah.
everything just kind of like it was like my entire spirit shifted. Like things shifted when I
Hmm.
was here, and yeah, I woke up in a sense.
Hmm. I won't get political about woke, but hey.
Ah,
Now, about how long have you been reading cards, like as a professional?
so as a professional, about 5, well, hold on one second. Yeah, so I'm going on 5 years. So and I count as a professional as in like I'm booking readings and people are paying me
Yeah.
um about almost 5 years. I started working with the cards in 2016, but I didn't start fully like reading them for people until like 2020 January of 2021, 20 or December 2020. I can't remember when it's shifty right there.
Yeah.
In
It's wild because that's about the same time I started doing tarot readings in drag. It was October of 2020.
Oh, cool.
Because, things were still kind of opening up, things were still kind of waking back up, and being a creative type, I was like, well, I don't want to just sit at home and do nothing. I want to do drag again, but I don't want to perform. And what I like about being a drag reading tarot queen, that's not what I wanted to say. Uh, Tarot reading drag queen is I get to sit down. I don't have to worry about walking around on heels and performing on heels and racking my ankles. I can sit down most of the time. So,
Yeah, they say like the Louboutin Socates are dinner shoes because you're supposed to wear them to dinner so you can just sit in them.
hmm.
You need to have your tarot reading shoes. Those are your highest heels.
Exactly that part. That part. Now, what would you say is your specialty or your uniqueness as a tarot reading? Is there something that you are really super gung ho about when it comes to readings, or something that you just naturally have a gift for reading? Like, so for example, I'm very good at life goal, life path, obstacles. Some other people might be very good at finance or career or relationship and love. Do you have a specialty you're really passionate about, or you're really good at?
That's actually I've never thought about that before. I will say that I think that, I know exactly how to answer your question. I use the cards. I don't have specific spreads. And so I have this one where I throw down 4 cards in the middle, 3 on the side, and 3 underneath. And there's not like a position for each thing. The only card that has a position is the very first card that comes down. It could be 4 different stories or it could be one big story. But something that tends to happen when I'm reading cards is they seem to open a door to the world of spirit for me to where
Hmm.
I start to get more information coming from loved ones who are on the other side, pictures and like just like things like that. And so that's why I used to only do either psychic readings with tarot cards, Lenormand, or mediumship readings where I may shuffle the cards, but I'm not gonna pull cards. I don't do that anymore. It's an all or nothing sort of situation now because the cards really open me up that way. Will say this. I feel like my favorite thing that I've been doing recently, because I was able and very fortunate to have an amazing tarot reading psychic nerd mentor, whose name is Colby Parrish, or the Wandering Fool online. And he taught me this really amazing tarot card like reading trick or whatnot,
Hmm.
where he asks questions And so what he'll do is he won't ask the question out loud. Like if he gets stumped in a reading or something like that, he will shuffle the cards and then he'll pull three cards, right? And so let's say the
Okay.
question is something regarding finances. Will this job work out, you know? And he'll pull three cards, right? So I've got the Hanged Man reversed. I've got the Fate card reversed. And then the Fate card is specific to this deck, so I'm gonna pull a different one. So I've got the Four of Cups reversed, the Hangman reversed, and Justice in reverse. Because all three of them are reversed, no, the job isn't gonna
Hmm.
work out. And then you go through and you read the cards and understand why it's not gonna work out. Does that make sense? And so this is like a very new, not new, very new, but like a newer thing that I've been doing. And I do this for myself. I do it for my sitters. I do it for the people. I do it for everybody now, and it is insane just how it works out so well, and just how you're able to kind of like the answer is no, but here's why it's no. It's not going to be fair. You're not going to get treated fairly. You're never going
Mm.
to have emotional peace, and this Hanged Man card being in the reversal here tells me that for me that's the idea of not being able to make observations. You're not going to be able to see things as clearly as you need to. And so that would be my reasoning is to further the whole I don't need to take this job, right? Quote, now that was theoretical, but I
Mm.
think that's my favorite like tip or trick with tarot and one of the things that I like to apply to my readings. But in general, to answer your questions, I do feel that the cards really open me up to that deeper connection to the world of spirit.
I love that, and I love that I've account I actually have encountered something very similar to that technique with the I believe it's Jake Richards. He has the what calls them conjure cards. They are based on Appalachian folk magic, but they're a regular deck of cards. Each card has a symbol drawn on it, so it might be a moonshine bottle or a horseshoe or a rattle from a rattlesnake. And he does offer something very similar where you ask your question, a yes or no question, deal out three cards. And if it's three blacks, it's an overwhelming yes. If it's two black and one red, it's a yes. Two reds, one black, a no. And then three reds is an overwhelming no with a possibility of danger involved. And the same, and it's a very similar thing where then you take the three cards and you say, okay, and this is the why behind it. I've never actually considered applying that to tarot. Like that's a
Ah,
brilliant, but I think it's because it doesn't occur to me because I actually don't read reversals. I choose not to read reversals. When I read them, I always turn them right side up because for me, it's always about the context of the cards and it's always about where's the surrounding cards because I might choose, what's one I can use? Let's use the Ten of Wands. The Ten of Wands can mean you're a hard worker, but it could also mean you're an overworker, you're a workaholic, or you're taking on way too much. You're
mhm.
taking on more than you should take on, and not letting anybody else help with the
Yeah.
burden. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I think he and I think I do follow him on Instagram. Your friend, he's a Colby. Yeah,
Yep, Colby.
I think we do follow each other, and he and I did not realize. Oh, bless you.
Sorry.
He and I did not realize how close we were in proximity to each other until I actually showed up at Spellcrafter and did a selfie of the two of us and posted it on Instagram. And he's like,
Uh-huh.
I had no idea you were around." I'm like, but yeah." So
That's so funny. Yeah, Colby actually is him and our other friend Linda, are the reasons why I'm sitting here right now. Like if it weren't for them, I wouldn't be here. So I owe them both so very, very much. But yeah, you know what, I gotta piggyback off of something you said with
yeah.
10. So I recently taught with Madison, she's the owner of Spellcrafter. We taught a Tarot 101, like building your relationship with the cards courses. We did 5 classes. And when we did the wands, it was so wonderful because I learned so much. And one
Hmm.
of the aspects of the Ten of Wands that I really felt was like, oh, I never considered that was the overwhelming and feeling of success,
Hmm.
of achieving your
Yeah.
goals. And then now you've got all this success and it's a lot of fucking work. And I was like,
Oh
ooh, I
yeah.
like Ten of Wands.
Yeah. Have you noticed now? I'm asking this because I myself am beginning to study. Well, I don't want to say beginning. I have been studying Lenormand. I've been studying Kipper. I've been expanding outside of tarot and oracle decks. Have you found that reading Lenormand or knowing how to read Lenormand enhances your tarot reading?
Um, it actually, so believe it or not, I read Lenormand more than tarot now. I love the Lenormand cards. They are something that I really connected to really quickly. It took me a while to build my relationship with the tarot. Lenormand, I just immediately was like, "Oh my God, I love this. I love this." And so, I will say that I do like to what I use the tarot to get the question, right? To look into
Hmm.
the situation, and then I bring the Lenormand as like a support, or vice versa. I'll bring in the tarot as like support. And it is wild how much they will like work in tandem to help me deliver the message that I need to deliver. But there is something about Lenormand that there's a comfort there, and I don't know what it is. But I absolutely love the Lenormand cards.
I what I've noticed with Lenormand is there's a directness that it's really funny because Lenormand can be so literal.
Hmm.
Whereas with tarot, I know it's really easy to get philosophical, to dive into the depths of, spirit and all that with tarot. It's really easy to go that route. With Lenormand, Lenormand is very good about just being very direct, very literal, very especially once you learn the system. I've got, for me, I find the trick for me is getting out of the tarot brain and into a Lenormand brain because I've got 30 years in the game with tarot, so I've been doing tarot since I was 14,
Yeah.
and
Awesome.
so flipping my brain into much more of a Lenormand thing, into a much more of a Lenormand, like how do I ask the question that's a little that'll get a much more direct answer is my trick, but or is something that's I'm learning. But I have noticed for myself, I pay attention to a lot more detail in tarot now that I've started to learn Lenormand. I've paid a lot of attention to directionality, to if it's higher up in my reading. So if I'm doing a reading for somebody and I see a card that's much higher up in the rows, it's in a more powerful position versus a little further down where it's a little more out of the person's hand, out of the sitter's hand. And it is fascinating.
So when you say in the rows, are you talking about like the grand tableau, like laying all the Lenormand cards out?
So I think I've shared this with you. You know how I call it my flow tableau style of reading, where so the way I like to read my tarot is I've got my deck, I'm shuffling to do the whole thing, and I put four piles in front of me, and then I turn them up one at a time
Oh,
until at the very end I have a nice tableau of 4 by 4 cards.
ooh.
Um,
I bet
and
this
the
book, correct?
I'm sorry.
This is in the book?
It is not in the book. However, I have created a YouTube that I will be releasing soon on how to read it.
I love that. I'm excited about that.
And the best part about this style of reading is it's very much goes back to what you were saying earlier. There is no fixed meaning for the card. It
Mhm.
allows me to flow and weave the story and tell me the timeline, what's going on. And at the end of the day, if I'm looking at the full 16 card layout, if I see my 4 by 4, the ones that are further away from me, so the ones that would be at the top of the box, are in a much more powerful position, or what is it Tony says, auspicious position, where if it's a little further down, it's a little more like it's a little further out of hand. It's a little harder to gain sort of some sort of control over it. So yeah, it's something that I've been reading that way for, oh gosh, probably since I started. I Okay, story time, kids. Strap in because this is a funny one. And
Mhm.
I've told this story many times before. So if you've ever heard me talk about Flow Tableau and how I developed it or how I learned it, uh, back in the day, way, way back in the day, Anthony, you're only 25, so this is before you were born. But
So sweet of you.
But way, way back in the day, before the internet and all that, we had the 800 dial-a-psychic numbers. And there was one who was on the air for, it felt like years, and her name was Miss Cleo.
Oh, I know Miss Cleo.
Yeah, Miss Cleo. And one time, I think it was summertime because that was the only time I was allowed to stay up late was summertime. I just happened to be watching one of these 800, dial a psychic numbers. Miss Cleo is doing her thing in that heavy, heavy accent, saying, "Call me now." And I saw her read the cards in that way. I saw her read the cards with those four piles, turning them one over a time, and I looked at it and said, I can do that. And that was pretty much the start of my journey into tarot and actually learning how to read without worrying about this card this means this and this card upside down means this, but this card is in this position which means this. And I actually in my book I actually say throw that away for right now. It's, as you're focusing learning and as you're focusing on learning, don't worry about a spread that has a fixed meaning for each card.
Oh yeah.
Do do an easy three, pull three cards and set your intention for whatever the message is going to be. So, what's my day going to look like today? Pull three cards. What's the week going to look like? What was my lesson from this week? Whatever it is, but get learning, I think, away from those fixed meaning spreads is makes it so much easier to get into the tarot. And then once you got that down, start
Mhm.
doing those fixed meanings where all that, yeah.
I agree. I think too, so because that's I don't read with fixed positions and stuff like that. And I think what that has helped me with, and I hope that maybe you'll understand this too, or that other people who are gonna see this will resonate with this, but it's helped me to be able to I always tell people when they're putting the cards together, you're creating a sentence or creating
Mm,
a graph or whatnot. And being able to not have the fixed positions everywhere helps me to intuit and create the paragraph a little bit easier, you know?
yeah.
And it tends to be more accurate when I don't have to like do the positions, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think it's the same with Lenormand, where they say with Lenormand, you're laying the cards out and you're making a sentence. You're choosing the word for each thing and you're creating the sentence with those words.
Mhm.
So awesome. Well, let's pivot to the book itself. What card did you choose to write on when I approached you and said, "Hey, I have this thing that I want to do, but I want other voices to add to it." What was the card you chose, Anthony?
I chose the Empress, and I did get the Empress out in my deck, the Ethereal Visions Lunar Edition. And this is my Empress card.
Look
I
at all those flowers in her hair. That's gorgeous.
It is a fantastic. He draws everything by hand first and then has it all made into cards. So I'm obsessed with it. I really love this artist. But yeah, I chose the Empress. She's this card is the relationship that I built with the Empress card is so significant. And again, I know it sounds dramatic, but it's probably a huge reason why I'm also sitting here too. Is
Hmm.
Colby, Linda, and the Empress.
I mean, they're kind of one and the same, right? No, I'm kidding. I love Colby.
Mhm.
He's truly a wonderful person.
Oh yeah.
So oops, sorry if there's some background noise. Woo.
No.
I live right next to a busy street, so you might hear some little crotch rockets go by. So
Oh, I didn't even hear
yeah.
anything. You're good. You might hear thunder. It's about to storm here, so.
Oh, well, tis the season here down in Florida, isn't it? So, and the best part is I could be one place, travel 10 minutes, and it will go from completely sunny to downpour.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Who
yeah.
knew?
Florida.
What about the Empress? Like, what inspired you to contribute when you said, hands down, Empress, this is my card? What inspired you about that? Like, what's your relationship with her?
So the Empress is often considered the mother, like, right? This is where the fool on his journey, the fool's journey, he discovers like that sort of maternal instinct, that sort of like desire to care and stuff like that. There's an aspect of the Empress that I connected to on my journey that screamed authenticity. And a huge thing, a huge I would say, consistent theme in my life is vibrating authentically and at that core frequency of who I am supposed to be. And I I said it earlier, I grew up in a cornfield in Illinois, in central Illinois, where we attended an evangelical Lutheran church. I was surrounded by people who we're just really not the best, like, I would say, psychologically the best for me to be around being a gay man, a little gay boy. Um, and so I was often shut down and I was often put into a box and often told, well, you can't be this way. You can't ask those questions. You can't essentially. And so, when I discovered the fact that I had a little bit of something else going on in the realm of metaphysics and like psychic development or just being psychic and stuff. I really I really had to kind of deconstruct a lot of those thought processes when I decided to turn this sort of like thing into more of a business, like a hustle, like a side hustle type of situation. I was terrified to put my name on social media. I didn't want to put Anthony Lights on social media and whatnot. So I had like a fake name and my little the what was my name? Oh my God. The Auric Diviner. When
Mm.
I was starting to build this and booking more readings and stuff like that, I plateaued. Like something happened where I was like, ugh, I'm not really getting as much as I want to now. I'm not growing. And I got a really interesting message from my spirit team, and that said, you can't hide and expect people to find you in this world, in this business. You've got to put yourself out there. And at the same time, every time I was pulling cards, the Empress was coming out. And it would be like I would drop the deck on accident and the Empress card would fall out or anything like that. And so I essentially I I looked something up about her, and I believe, I hope I wrote this all correct in the book too. I did, but I had read something about her going like one of the books that I read, and I don't know which one it was. It could have been the Tarot, Plain and Simple, or no, the Key to Tarot. Um, it said something about the Empress can be calling you to your most natural self. And when I read that, I was like, "Oh my God, she's telling me to be authentic." And so what I did after that was I changed the name on my Instagram, right? And this is where the level or the teachings that I tell people now is authenticity breeds abundance. I stepped into a deeper level of my authenticity because of the Empress and because of these messages. And I was met with so much abundance. I met the people who own the store now that I work in, that I contribute to for my Anthony Light's business as well as for their business. I'm teaching now. I'm reading for people all over the world, and it's just like incredible. And all this just because I stepped even deeper into my authenticity. And so the Empress card and I have a very wonderful relationship. And anytime she comes out in a reading, I know that I'm supposed to tell the people I'm reading for, you are being called into your authenticity. If there's any reason why you are hiding who you are, this card comes out and says, no, 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 honey. You're going to be loved and cared for no matter what. Just stay authentic, you know? And so there is a little bit of that motherly in inspiration from the Empress of saying, I'm going to love you as you exactly are, you know? And so that is my why to the Empress. And that's also my why to what I do now is to hold space for people to feel safe in their authentic, design in their core frequency, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think it was Rachel Pollack's book when I was reading the 78 Degrees of Wisdom. She makes a very good point that often, yeah, the Empress is portrayed as somebody who is pregnant, as a woman who is pregnant, but she had to get there someplace. I mean, she had to get there somehow. This wasn't an immaculate conception, and that's where, I think part of what I'm enjoying about tarot and how it's going through this incredible, I don't want to say a resurgence, but a very uptick of visibility is that people are beginning to deconstruct this and say, well, okay, yes, classically she would be a pregnant woman, but she's not, this isn't an immaculate conception. She's also the embodiment of sensuality, which is also a very authentic thing where for people who, like you and like myself also who have been raised in a very conservative Christian household, it's almost like we feel shame for enjoying sensuality.
Uh-huh.
And because I think what it is for me too, a lot of my journey has been deconstructing shame about how I feel, what I feel, who I love. And I think that also speaks into the authenticity of the Empress.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's funny as we talk, the more we talk about it and the more I vocalize this, it does really feel, it does take me back to the mother of, oh, you are gonna love me even though you know that I like to, I am gay and
Hmm.
I am a very sensual person and, very sex positive, all these things. And I also read cards. You're still gonna love me? Okay, that's really nice. You know?
Absolutely, absolutely. Awesome. So I want to take this moment to read a little bit of what you wrote from the book itself here. So hopefully I don't drop it because I know it's super early on. So well, first and foremost, I just want to show you here. So yeah, so here we got the Empress here. Whoops, there we go. I cannot see there we are. So here we got the Empress. We got the lovely Empress thing here, or the Empress section. And then here's a little bit of what you wrote. So we got Living Tarot, the Empress with Anthony here for you. So
It's
and
so
for yeah for those of you watching, this is the first time Anthony's actually had a chance to see this because it's the first time like I finally got the copy of the book too. So super exciting.
cool.
And you start out this way. Let's see here. My story of the Empress is centered to me on stepping into my power and rising into my authenticity. Although I spent many years developing my psychic abilities and building a spiritual practice, I kept that part of my life separated from my quote unquote real job. Meanwhile, I spent a decade working toward what I thought was my dream job as a cosmetics at a cosmetics company, excuse me, which I finally achieved in 2019. I was so proud of myself. However, something didn't quite feel right. And I think that is such a great way to start into that inner knowing, paying attention to the inner knowing where it's like, well, on the outside I'm successful. Why do I not feel the full
Mhm,
why do I not feel the success? Why do I not feel like I'm successful? Or why do I feel like there's something more or something missing in me?
mhm.
Awesome. And I mean, I'm not going to read the whole thing because if you want that, well, friends, you're
Got
going to have to buy the book. But
it.
hey, you're in,
The cover is so cool. I'm in love. I love it
yeah.
so much.
Yeah, I mean, Red Feather did such a great job putting this together, and of course, the graphic here was done by my very good friend Wick Arts on Instagram, who's done a lot of my promo work, and a lot of his artwork is in my logos and all that. And of course, somebody we know in common did my actual artist photo. This was done by the ever incredible, ever vocal, ever wonderful Morgan Lashade.
Emphasis on vocal.
Yeah. Yeah, so Morgan Lashade, the photographer based in the Tampa Bay area, but has all over Florida,
Mhm.
doing photos for drag queens and for performers, and just has such a great
Oh yeah.
eye for everything. So, because you've also had some photography work done with him, haven't you?
Yeah, I believe everything on my website right now is all from him.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Mhm.
Wonderful. Well, as we begin to wrap this up just a little bit, Anthony, what advice would you like to let our viewers know as they are working with the Empress? What advice would you give to them?
Absolutely. I would say the with the Empress, and I'm also speaking, I'm a Cancer, right? And so
Mm.
I do feel Empress and Cancer energy kind of flow really nicely because we're very nurturing. If you want to gain a bigger relationship or a stronger relationship with Empress energy or the Empress card, um, nurture. nurture your authenticity. And I think that really is going to start with just asking yourself, who am I and what do I want? And instead of being having a knee-jerk reaction of fear or of shame, maybe hold that desire for a minute and just give yourself space to really openly, vulnerably think about what it is you want and who you are. And I say that in the sense of like, you know, when I said to myself for the first time, "I'm gay," my knee-jerk reaction was to run, right?
Mhm.
In this sense, you would say, I'm gay. I'm a gay man." And then you would just let yourself think that without any judgment, without any fear, and just kind of like sit with that. If you decide that you want to, I don't know, start reading cards for a living and you say, what I want is to be a full-time psychic reading tarot cards for people. Don't judge yourself for that. Sit in that energy and like the Empress, just love yourself for what it is that you want and just allow yourself to fully commit to your authenticity.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for just adding your voice to the book, and thank you so much for your wonderful writing on the Empress, Anthony. As we're wrapping things up here, where can we find you?
Oh, you can find me if you are in the St. Pete area, a beautiful shop called Spellcrafter. If you are virtual only, you can find me at Anthony Lights, Lightz, everywhere, but mostly Instagram. TikTok, I don't even post on TikTok anymore. But Instagram is where you can find me at Anthony Lights. You can also do anthonylights.com, which is my website. That's where you'll find bookings for readings. I'm actually going to be teaching a class on the Lenormand next month virtually, so that will be on my website soon enough. I just have to figure out how to do all that shit. So, yeah.
It's funny because as business owners, and I'm speaking purely as a business owner who does tarot readings and all that, the things that we learn to deliver, like it goes so beyond just like reading the cards. Like we learn how to run technology, we learn how to edit, we learn how to edit, we learn how to create course content, we learn how to so, if for anybody who wants to go into this line of work, really develop those skills. And if you have a day job in a corporate setting in some way, shape, or form, hone those skills now because those will serve you
Literally.
in the long run. And of course, you can find me at Queen of Glam Tarot on Instagram and all the other socials. I am the most active on Instagram. I'm slowly picking up TikTok, but if there's one thing that this elder millennial has learned, it just seems like there are so many new social media channels coming out every year and every day, and it's to a point where I have to stop and say, okay, I'm focusing on these ones right now, and once I get a rhythm with that, we'll see about going into the other ones. But
Mhm.
queenofglamtarot.com is my website. You can book readings there with me. You can also read my blog because I put out a monthly blog which involves pick a cards and just things going on in my life. Also, my book, Read Like a Queen: Real Life Insights to Slay Your Tarot Practice, is available now for pre-order wherever books are sold. So what I love is that this is so smartly priced. This entire book is 19.99. So you're getting Anthony's wisdom, you're getting my knowledge, my experience, you're getting a little bit of everything, and it's all for under $20. So please pre-order that book now. And Anthony, thank you once again for joining me this evening. Have a wonderful rest of your night, and all of you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.